Hi there, everyone. My name is Christian Eschbach, and welcome to another one of my album reviews. And we are getting into some definitely uncharted territory on my reviews. DMX. Yes, I did a little rap with Eminem, but that's Eminem. And yes, the odd hip hop artist or rap artist has come up along the way in some of the CDs I've reviewed. However, to do a actual full album of rap, ooh, all right. So I got a lot of notes on this one because some of these albums I'm getting through them once. All right, doing more than once is just torture. All right. Let me start with the album cover, okay? This album cover, that and the back there, that's pretty metal. Definitely pretty metal looking. I'm sure there's got to be some nasty metal bands out there that got some stuff that look, as bloody and whatever is this. Okay. Now, how the am I supposed to review an album when I can't even say the name of the first track on the album? Which is my. Am I allowed to spell it? Well, I'm going to. M-Y, so my, N-I-G-G-A-S. All right? And there's 5 of these N-bombs right in the first 20 seconds, so I'm really just not going to get into the lyrics on here. I mean, I don't own this album because I bought this album, and I've mentioned this before. I don't own any rap or hip hop because why do I buy albums I don't sing along to, or I can't sing along to? All right, I mean, white girls can apparently get along with singing along to this stuff, but Joe Rogan had to apologize for quoting lyrics. All right, moving on. So this was 1998. And well, part of the community, the black community in this case, was trying to put a complete end to the use of the N word, which is when the beginning of the, me saying stuff like the N word started happening. But rappers like DMX and a whole slew of other ones that started before DMX, going back to like 88 kind of thing, kept pushing it and saying it was their word to use freely and it wasn't the same, and thus keeping the word alive and well. And these debates are still raging 30 plus years later. DMX using it was, got to be like 10 years into the debate over the use of the N word. And, it's still going on, like I said, 30 plus years later, right? And that's it for my rant about the N word. I'm not going to bring it up again through this. Also, this first track is an album filler. It's a little skit kind of thing. I mentioned in my last review with Brandy, never say never. Some do it well, some don't. This one was done okay. Didn't mind this one. Bring Your Whole Crew starts off with some graphic necrophilia. The Alice Cooper fan in me always kind of perks up at a little necrophilia in the lyrics. And then gets into some major chest thumping James Hetfield doing Seek and Destroy in the modern age kind of style going on here. That's pretty much where I go with that one. Pac-Man is another little skit. I'm not a fan of this one. One thing I really have an issue with rap, besides the use of the N-word, is the overglorification of violence. And you could argue that, yes, it's street poetry and stuff like that. But in this particular case, I don't accept that anymore. Like, there was no need for it anymore. Like, I mean, there's a difference between, and it's weird talking about, the glorification of violence in music. There's a difference between this, because this was real life violence that was being glorified, or being, it feels like almost sold en masse. Like, this was the cool, in order to have any reputation as a gangsta rapper, you had to spend time in jail for something horrible, like, that's, Alice Cooper doesn't go around murdering people. Or if he has, man, that has been one of the greatest serial killing sprees of all time. And it makes him one of the greatest serial killers of all time, too, because that means he's hiding the bodies right out in the open, and he's doing all this stuff in the open, writing about it, singing about it for over 50 years. Yeah, so there is a difference between playing a character and glorifying the shock of the world as it is, we'll say. I'm going to come back to this later on. All right. So that's why I'm not a huge fan of Pac-Man. All right. That goes into Ain't No Way. I dig this one. Musically, pretty decent. Drums could be better, but they're not bad. It was honestly just kind of a decent tune to dig into and get into what was going on. I didn't mind it at all. We Don't Give a Fuck follows that up. And I have addressed songs with Don't Give a Fuck in the title before. Talked about my experiences with my best friend Drew, and no matter who's writing it, they always have the same vibe. DMX featuring Jada Kiss and Styles P manages to blow that theory right out the window. Doesn't sound like any other Don't Give a Fuck song I've ever listened to before. I hated this song. I really did not like this song, man. The violin samples in the background are boring, and the whole thing is repetitive. Lyrically, I think it's cheesy. And I'm bored as hell listening to it, and then all of a sudden, out of nowhere, there's F-bombs. And I'm not talking, fuck. I'm not afraid to say fuck. I'm talking about the F-bomb for bundles of sticks and British cigarettes, That was no bueno even in 1998 when this album was released. And he's throwing it around like a 5-foot tall white girl in her car, throwing around N-bombs, singing along with this album, No bueno. Keep Your Shit the Hardest. Not impressed. Pretty generic for rap in general. Coming From. This has Mary J. Blige on it. And she is a good vocalist. I understand why people like Mary J. Blige as a vocalist. However, her diva attitude, at least back in the day, I don't know what she's like anymore, really turned me off her, and I didn't think she was that good to go with the attitude. I hate to say it, she was a horrible cliche. This song itself, though, however, isn't bad. The vibe would have been perfect, say, in the Luke Cage series, which came out, 20 years later, 15 years later, But it definitely would have been really cool in there. It does feel a little long, and I think 4 minutes would have been more than enough. After that, we're on to It's All Good. I find this song, honestly, just super offensive. And I mean, I love the Till Lindemann solo album. Bitches Be Crazy or Trippin'. That's one thing. But bitches being for gratuitous fucking is a bit much. It's... I say it that way on purpose, okay? Like, just the gratuitous use of either the one word or the other word is just much. And I'm a fan for songs with gratuitous swearing, and here is just, it's not cool, man. It's not cool. And then after that, we're moving on to The Omen. All right. Speaking of men that like to degrade women, Marilyn Manson is a guest performer on this song. Nice segue, huh? Okay. It's cliche performance from Manson. Manson was probably asked to go in the studio, drop some lines. He dropped some lines, and that was it. It sounds like they recorded him doing it, sampled it, replayed it throughout the song. This song's got a creepy vibe to it, and it's cool on a rap track. I've never really heard many rap songs that use a creepy vibe like this. But for someone like myself, who's Alice Cooper fan extraordinaire, it's a little bit boring. Just a wee bit. But all that being said, I do love a good use of church organ. Then we're on to Slippin'. This one has a live vibe to it, like the background, the ambiance to it. Sounds kind of live. If it's not live, then it's a wind sweeping through a big open area kind of thing. I'm not sure which way. That kind of, which could go either way. You got the live audience or the wind going through. That's what it sounds like. Either way, not overly impressive, you can't tell. Lyrically, it's personal and cool that way, but overall the presentation is generic. The song is way too long, and I'm ready to skip it by about the halfway marker, which puts it at about 2 minutes 30 seconds, give or take. No Love for Me. This one really picks up the tempo after the last song, which is kind of nice because the last one was really kind of pulled back. I have some issues over the use of bitches and hoes at this point in the album. Kind of really just had enough of it. I've never been a fan of how much rappers refer to women as bitches and hoes, I don't even like, the way the 80s hair metal was always baby this or baby that, or even before that, once in a while it's not bad, but just sometimes it gets too far. And at this point, I'm just kind of like, I've had enough. After that, we move. Oh, and then also going with the same song. At this point, I also feel like, DMX is sounding a little incel acting Chad. It's just really kind of like a self-inflated BS kind of thing going on here. It really, a false ego, real big time false ego. And also this song's about a minute too long. Then we're on to Dogs for Life. And once again, what I mentioned earlier about that glorification of criminal violence kind of stuff, this song's another one, just continues more of it. And I've already mentioned, there is, and this one glorifies more of a criminal violence, like that whole drive-by kind of thing. And there is a difference between that type of violence and other violence. Once again, that is kind of realistic violence, whereas, you can look at an action movie. Die Hard is the one that comes to mind when I'm thinking of this comparison. If you look at the violence between the two, there's a total difference. Like the bad guys are the ones shooting everything up. The good guy, yeah, he shoots and kills the bad guys, but there's a thing there. Gang on gang violence, there were no good guys, there were no bad guys. It was just guys shooting guys. End of story. And this just really, I think, kept glorifying and perpetrating that. To be honest, I don't even know if that's something that still goes on like it used to. And the reason why I say that is it became so commonplace that it stopped getting media coverage, Like, basically, there's jokes on TV shows where rappers couldn't get any clout unless, they had some type of attempted murder rap on them or something like that. So, yeah. Okay, back on to this. We're on the song Blackout. This is Jay-Z and LOX. Okay, I don't know who LOX is. I know who Jay-Z is. Now, this song could have been better, but it could have been better if they had switched out the strings for guitar. And I'm guessing that the strings on this are programmed. And back then, programmed guitar, no, they would have to get a live guitarist for it because program guitars back in, prior, even now, program guitars are not that great. Like I've found one or two that are pretty decent, but they're hit and miss still. So, but I think a real band playing this one would have been a lot better. Flesh of my flesh and blood of my blood. We hit the album's title track, and I'm at this point ready to clock out on this album. The sample composition on this track is a bore. Drums should have been way heavier. Once again, live metal band would have kicked this one up, might have given it a lot more life, made it more enjoyable. But I'm bored as hell, and the chest thumping that was there at the beginning, it's at this point gotten to quote the legendary bard, methinks the lady doth protest too much. Or another term I could use is small dog energy. It's just a lot of barking, and I've had enough. Then we get to Heat. Now at this point, I'm hoping we've had enough of the gang violence BS, the criminality, the chest thumping, and I'm hoping we're getting into, I hate to say it, Nelly territory with something more like It's Hot in Here kind of thing. Just something that's kind of fun and sexy. And nope, we're just continuing on with more of the crap, and I'm not impressed with this song in any way, and it took everything I had not to skip it after the first minute. And we finished this album off with Ready to Meet Him, and right away I'm expecting it to be, him, DMX, going on about being ready to meet God, and it is. And the way this plays off, it makes me think that most of what's been on this album is just character play. It's, once again, like Alice Cooper, right? I want to give him the benefit of the doubt and say it's character play. It's just him playing a character. It's not actually who he is as a person. It's not anything related to his actual life. And when you get him off stage, he's actually like the, nicest guy in the world, goes to church every Sunday and has a great hobby of going out and playing golf, So, I want to give him the benefit of the doubt. But also part of me is, just thinking it's more of the same stupidity, the gangster bullshit. And this gangster bullshit, I'm not like talking black gangster bullshit either, because it's the same bullshit you hear out of classic Irish gangster, classic Italian gangster, classic Latino gangster. They all sound the same. They all talk the same shit, where they think they're going to get into heaven and they're going to get to meet God. And it's kind of like, you guys really think that if this is really how you are in real life, okay, if the words and what you say in here, the lyrics, the poetry that you say in here is how you actually are in real life, in what world do you think you're going to get to meet God? I mean, I personally hold that big "thou shalt not kill" 10 commandment, that specific commandment, I hold that one really near and dear to my heart. Okay, that one, that's one of the ones you don't screw with, because that's something you honestly can never come back from. Okay, I think that's one of those ones that, you kill someone, that leaves a black mark on your soul, man, a really big black mark on your soul. I'm sure there's certain circumstances where it gets gray as opposed to black, but that still leaves a mark on your soul no matter what, because you can't come back from that in any way, shape, or form. And the overglorification of that on this album, it really kind of makes me go, oh, really? Because once again, it's not the same as the violence you'll find in Alice Cooper lyrics, per se. And then there's also the treatment of women on here. I'm not a huge fan about the ones, as I mentioned, the bitches and the hoes and the stuff like that. It really kind of puts me off, I can talk trash about, women, and I use terms like chicks and stuff like that, but those aren't, I think most women would rather be called a chick than a bitch or a hoe, given a choice kind of thing. One's 100% meant to be derogatory. One's just, maybe misogynistic, I guess. But lyrically, coming full circle on all that. Lyrically, if you actually listen to what he say, it does come back around to, I want to give him the benefit of the doubt and say this is character play. Like Alice Cooper's character play. Or, I want to say Rob Zombie is, to an extent, character play. I wish I could say Marilyn Manson is character play, but that's definitely not character play. Or David Bowie going through his various phases of character play. This is what I want to give the benefit of the doubt for. I don't think it's 100% warranted. I think it is a little more real, and I think his expectations of getting to go to heaven and getting to they're being ready to meet God is a little unwarranted. Or maybe he's ready to meet. Maybe I mistook it. Maybe it's complete reversal, and he's ready to meet the devil because he's expecting he's going to hell. I don't know. It's kind of weird, All metalheads want to go to hell, probably end up in heaven. All rappers think they're going to go to heaven and probably going to end up in hell. Just joking, folks, on that last one. But there is certain things in there, it's really weird. Anyways, folks, those are my thoughts. Those are my opinions. Those are my views. I'm sorry about getting so political on that one. But it is a thing. A lot of questions to ponder on that. Anyways, comments. Like button, subscribe button, bell for notifications. There's a link below to Patreon. Peace, love. Take care.